Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you, June 24th, 2025. I have all of your stories for your rush hour ride to work. We'll be discussing Cobra Kai as an actor has been accused of biting another actor at an event. I'll share that, plus a stunt performer drops the receipts to show how she was violated on set of the Kevin Costner project. And then we'll get into Blake Lively and how the New York Times reporter actually admits in an interview that Blake Lively said what happened on set wasn't really that bad. Will this be used in court? We'll get into it. Plus, Trump announces a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Well, I guess we can all stop covering the war. Wait, hold on a second. Iran has made a statement saying that is false, so we'll get into that. And then Joe Rogan talks about all of the ICE raids that are going on. We got a lot to get into. All these stories and more starts right now on The Rush. Now, as you guys may or may not know, all week long I've been in New York City. If you want to catch some of my stand-up and couldn't make it live, go to patreon.com/Dave Neal, and you can watch my set from this past Saturday. Another thing that I was doing in New York on Saturday morning was I actually went to the farmers market, as you do it in Union Square, and I stumbled upon Andrea Gordillo. Here she is. She's running in today's New York primary. They've got a big election today in New York City. She's running for City Council District 2. Now, what I liked about her, a very nice lady, is that she's fighting for the artists. Here's what she had to say on the subway.
So what's your take?
Rich New Yorkers love art but hate artists.
100% agree.
Think about it.
It's true.
They'll drop millions on a basket, but they won't bat an eye when the next one gets evicted from their rent-stabilized apartment.
So there it is. I mean, she's here to support the artist, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm endorsing her, but get out and vote. If you live in New York City, make sure you've got your vote going on. She had great ideas. She says she's not a traditional politician, but hey, that's what we need more of. People that understand what makes the sort of the heartbeat in the local politics. And in this case of New York City, that would be the vibrancy of the art community and making sure we don't drive them out. How about this? It is a absolute heat wave happening today in New York City and across the country. This was a moment from yesterday where it was so hot, the road buckled, kind of like a zit popping. Video captured the moment a road buckled and sent a car flying as the heat wave impacted Missouri on Sunday. Watch this. Did you just see that? That was literally the road popping. And then a car flies into the air. That's how my belt buckle feels after I have Olive Garden. All right, let's move it on. Tyler, the creator, criticizes the podcast boom, says everybody with a mic is crazy. We need electricians. He gives a show. So listen, okay, yes, it is very easy to get a microphone these days. I'm not going to be defensive because I have a podcast, but I will say I don't like the gatekeepers. People have microphones. Hey, everybody has a vocal cord. What do we all think? We can just do this crazy thing and talk? Everybody's got feet. What do you want to dance now? Everybody's got a middle finger. You should just start flicking people off. Yes, dance, talk, and flick people off. Do whatever the hell you want with your body. Run for office. You could run for the city council in New York City. Do whatever the heck you want. I hate gatekeepers. So yes, some people online will have a bad opinion. I say the best way to combat bad opinions is to have a better opinion. So if there's a podcast out there and you don't know what they're doing, no one's forcing you to listen. All right, how about this story? This is wild. It's been on my radar for a little bit now. Kevin Costner and his movie Horizon 2. Didn't he put all of his own money up for this? There was an alleged unscripted scene that was described as an abomination. The stunt performer's alleged text have been included. Now, this scene was one of the variety words I can't say out loud on the podcast for, don't want to get kicked off here. But there was a violent assault scene, and I guess the stunt performer wasn't properly notified of it beforehand. The stunt performer suing Kevin Costner over the alleged unscripted unscripted scene on a movie set is adding new evidence to the lawsuit. Text messages she claims she sent to the Horizon 2 intimacy coordinator after the alleged incident. Devin Labella suing Kevin for sexual harassment, discrimination, and retaliation, and she recently amended her lawsuit to include alleged text messages she sent regarding the scene. In the amended complaint obtained by TMZ, Labella includes texts she says she sent to the movie's intimacy coordinator after the incident, saying, "I wanted to discuss yesterday's abomination when we both have a chance. I was put in a really wrong position and it really affected me." She says she sent the messages the day after the alleged incident, and she says they were sent and received by intimacy coordinator Celeste Cheney. Labella says she was the victim of a violent, unscripted, unscheduled scene directed by Kevin Costner on May 2nd of 2023. The stunt performer claims there was no contractually mandated intimacy coordinator present on that day, and that Costner was either involved in or fully aware of every single thing going on. She claims Costner has instructed the actor Roger Ivans during the scene. Allegedly, Ivans violently rustled her skirt up as if trying to penetrate her against her will while using his body and arms forcibly pinning her down. Now, again, in movies, a lot of crazy things happens, right? But you have to have the consent of the actors involved beforehand. That's what the intimacy coordinator is all about. So her attorney told TMZ the lawsuit was his attorney told TMZ. Oh, his attorney's Marty Singer. That's the guy that David Gingras used to work for. Oh, great. Good, solid people here. He told TMZ the lawsuit has absolutely no merit and claims Labella is a serial accuser of people in the entertainment industry. Well, we'll see how it all plays out. Now, I have to say, if this has no merit, these text messages that they share clearly have more of a receipt than the Blake Lively text messages, right? Now, Blake Lively makes all these crazy accusations about Justin Baldoni, but she doesn't have a text message to her lover, her partner, Ryan Reynolds, saying, oh, Justin Baldoni smelt me weird or whatever. She has none of that. But at least here with the intimacy coordinator, there's text messages explaining, what was going on. I mean, way more receipts to this. Again, we'll have to see how this all plays out as we continue to cover it. But yeah, interesting stuff. And speaking of assaults happening on set, Cobra Kai star Martin Kove accused of biting co-star Alicia Hannah Kim at fan convention. How bizarre. I mean, listen, you can't just age gracefully. You got to be an old creep, right? This guy's been around for a minute here, plays a creep kind of villain in the show. But I guess maybe possibly allegedly in real life. So he was allegedly biting his co-star Alicia during a VIP meet and greet, according to a report from the Puyallup Police Department obtained by Variety. The incident occurred Sunday at SummerCon in Washington, where Kove and Hannah Kim, both of whom appear in the Netflix series, were participated in programming and fan activities. Reps for Kove did not immediately respond to Variety's request for comment. Well, I guess she would have had to press charges, right? According to the report, Hannah told an officer working the VIP section that after tapping Kove on the shoulder to say hello, he suddenly grabbed her arm and bit her so hard he nearly drew blood. The report states that when she cried out in pain, Kove allegedly started kissing her arm where he had bitten her. The report detailed that Hannah told her husband, who was present at the event, and the pair went to confront Kove about the incident. Weird, and I absolutely believe everything she's saying here. So, I mean, I'm sure the people at Cobra Kai would have preferred this to not go through the police system, but hey, they clearly cannot control their star actor here. He's a villain on screen, and he's a biter off. All right, well, coming up next, we spoke just a minute ago about this stunt performer and the receipts. Well, we have new receipts that appear to show Blake Lively may have exaggerated her claims. That coming next. Today's podcast is sponsored by Quince, and I am not big on trends. You know that about me, but I like clothes that feel good and last. That's why I keep going back to Quince. Their lightweight layers and high-quality staples have become my everyday essentials. Quince is all the things you actually want to wear this summer, like organic cotton silk polos, European linen beach shorts, and comfortable pants that work for everything from backyard hangs to nice dinners. The best part, everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you luxury pieces without the markups. Listen, you know my love for linen shirts. They have shirts for $29. They're normally $80 elsewhere. You can scoop all of them up. Breathable, lightweight. We got a heat wave out there. Don't get stuck with the heavy clothing. Stick to the staples that last with elevated essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/rushhour for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That is QUINCE.com/rushhour to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/rushhour. There is an unearthed interview with Megan Twohey. I think I'm pronouncing that right. She is the New York Times reporter who, broke open the Blake Lively story with Justin Baldoni. It's the centerpiece of this, quite frankly, billion-dollar lawsuit. Well, she also kind of, was part of the Me Too campaign and has been, received her accolades for her reporting. Although in this case, folks have wondered, as I've spoken to, pretty reputable reporters, and they've wondered, why she spent months interviewing and investigating Blake Lively, but then only gave Baldoni an hour or two to respond. And, there was some sketchiness happening there. But here's what's really interesting. Kirsty, our friend, and Perez Hilton both already covered this. I want to share their clips, but an interview came out or has been unearthed from December of 2024 where Megan Twohey really downplays Blake Lively's claims. Have a listen.
And the interviewer here is asking Megan Twohey, it sounds like the situation was handled relatively well in the end. I mean, she asks for certain things to happen, they happen. And according to her, the situation on set is better. So she said that, they're basically saying here that when Blake Lively approached Justin Baldoni and said that he'd need to stop behaving this way, he did stop behaving the way that she was accusing him of behaving, which we now know that he didn't really do. And he only signed these points because he wanted to get back to work. And
right, so she put all these points together. I'll come back to work if you agree to X, Y, and Z. But not only did he not, behave badly once she confronted him, now, according to Megan Twohey, Blake Lively says, it really wasn't the worst thing I've experienced in the past.
According to the New York Times reporter, Litigious Lively said, "This was actually not the worst that I have experienced in Hollywood. I've actually experienced far worse misconduct." Whoa. And interesting that you've experienced worse, but this is the first time you're suing for sexual harassment.
And I'll be the first to tell you, just because it's not the worst she's ever received doesn't mean that Baldoni should be left off the hook if this were the case. I think more likely, though, what it shows is that Blake Lively wasn't even taking this seriously to say, oh, I've had far worse happen to me, but this one, I had to put my foot down. Again, to relate it back to a very different case here, but also involving intimacy coordinator with this Kevin Costner stuff, she's got screen grabs, metadata. Why was there no intimacy coordinator? Why was a stunt double doing this non-stunt work, especially given the sensitivity? Why wasn't there any preparation going on? I mean, this person clearly has receipts from 2 years ago of what went down. Blake Lively so far hasn't provided any text messages, whether from her, to her, or anywhere else that would show. What Blake Lively has provided is, the 17-point plan. In fact, the only text messages that Blake Lively has makes it seem as though she may have been the one who had an issue with boundaries, who was, sort of making dirty jokes with Baldoni and things like that. Very, very bizarre. Great work by Perez and Kirsty there as they continue to cover and expose the hypocrisy, really. All right, we're going to dive into some other stuff going on. There's a lot happening, folks, with this war in Iran. So just yesterday, Iran retaliated. They shot missiles at a base in Qatar, whatever the hell you want to call it. And this is wild because I went to Qatar last year, and they say it's the safest country in the world, really, I guess, until the U.S. decided to bomb the nuclear facilities of Iran, and now Iran retaliates in Qatar. Now, apparently, Qatar Iran warned Qatar we're going to shoot some missiles, and then Qatar let the United States know. So it was really like, I don't think, as far as I can tell, they were trying to cause much damage. It appears as though it was kind of just to save face. So we're going to get into that. Now, Donald Trump is being accused of lying. He posted, "Congratulations to everyone who is involved. Has been fully agreed by in between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours." So he makes this sort of victory, message on truth, saying there was a ceasefire. Everything worked according to plan. Well, Iran has not received any ceasefire proposal, senior officials say. The official said Iran would continue to fight until it achieves a lasting peace. So, what the heck is going on here? He's claiming victory, or at least ceasefire, and they're saying, no, not really. Now, Iran and Qatar coordinated the Iranian attack on U.S. base inside Qatar. Have a listen.
NBC News has now confirmed the reporting that the New York Times had about the Qataris and the Iranians coordinating this response. The Iranians giving the Qataris a heads up, the Qataris then informing the U.S., minimize the casualties, a number of missiles, maybe 10, maybe 12. That's not a lot, Keir. That's not a lot. That is an extraordinarily, I said, muted response.
Right.
From the Iranians.
Yeah, let's just be clear. When you fire a missile at a base, you can't be absolutely sure that missile is going to be intercepted. The Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, though, is very well defended, and it is a location that you might think the Iranians would be fairly confident that their munitions would not make contact. On top of that, the Qataris are among the Gulf states and Arab nations. They are a country with closer links to Iran. They talk about themselves as mediators. They try to find paths towards peace. That's how they describe it. So by targeting, it slightly kind of, seems counterintuitive, but by targeting a base in Qatar, the Iranians are effectively targeting a base in a country that is slightly more friendly towards them than, say, a UAE or a Bahrain or a Saudi Arabia. Although I will say all of the Gulf countries have shifted their position vis-a-vis Iran in recent years. So, I guess that's a long way round of answering your question and saying yes, with caveats. Yes, this doesn't look like the kind of fierce escalatory response that you might have that we would have been worrying about from the Iranians. And by the way, too, the Iranians saying tonight that this attack was not, I'm paraphrasing, this attack was not targeted at Qataris, but at the base in Qatar.
All right, so there it is, right? So they're saying basically Iran knew they weren't going to cause any damage, and it was sort of a symbolic response. Now, here's what's interesting, because this idea, when you do anything political, it's like butterfly effect. There's always something else that might happen. So folks are saying, look, maybe you take out their nuclear facilities, but what if Russia wants to give them a nuke? So Putin is using this. He's calling unprovoked aggression, says there's no grounds or justifications, long-standing, good and reliable relations with Iran. So he's saying, look, this shouldn't be happening. And again, it doesn't mean they're on the right side, but these are what you're going to see is China, Iran, you're going to see Russia having a chance to, further their sort of union and possibly, defend themselves against the escalation of what might happen next. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, but, it's not just about blowing up a mountain and everything goes away. Now, there's also reports, and I don't know what's true and what's not at this point, but there are reports that Iran obviously knew they were about to be bombed. It was pretty much telegraphed. And they got the uranium out of there. And now that, they're actually going to want to develop a nuclear weapon faster because it's really their only card they can play right now. So you just see the escalations that have come forward, all because we had this offensive maneuver to, take out, their uranium supply. It's very bizarre. And for anyone to try to make it seem like simpler than that, I don't think they're doing us any service here.
What we are learning is that effectively the Iranians, according to a source, had literally telegrammed to the Qataris that this was going to happen. The Qataris were in turn then able to let the Americans know, which meant that measures were taken and things were put in place so that there wouldn't be any real damage or danger, and certainly any casualties as a result of the strike.
Yeah. So again, what comes next? Anybody's guess. But I will say it is quite frustrating when our president says, there's a ceasefire, and then it's like, well, is there? And obviously it seems as though Iran is being very careful and measured with their response, because they know that, Trump, who the hell knows what he could do next? He told everyone in Tehran to evacuate a city of 10 million people. So, there's, all of the innocent lives that are being affected by this, including Americans, as this could completely, raise oil prices, which again is a tax on everybody. So you've got tariffs, you've got oil prices. These things, like, people don't have the extra funds for just to piss their money away here. Okay, I wanted to do a quick some quick content on Joe Rogan. He's kind of the biggest podcast in the world. And by the way, this infographic was designed by our social media person, Danielle. She's doing a great job. So make sure you go follow us on Instagram and TikTok. On Instagram, you can follow us, The Rush Hour with Dave Neal, or you can look at my personal page, D Neals. Either way, go to those, and then D Neals on TikTok. But she puts this great stuff together. It's a way for you guys to leave comments if you have any, if you want a place where you can leave your thoughts and opinions on stories. But here is what Joe Rogan had to say about the ICE raids that are happening.
Television, it's like,
you think the raids are nuts?
All of it's
yeah.
nuts.
I think both sides are taking it a little too hard.
Well, I don't think the Trump administration, if they're running and they said, we're going to go to Home Depot and we're going to arrest all the people at Home Depot, we're going to go to construction sites and we're going to just tackle people at constructions, I don't think anybody would have signed up for that. They said, we're going to get rid of the criminals and the gang members first, right? And now we're seeing Home Depots get raided. That's crazy. These raids are fucking.
So he said it's crazy. And this is a big deal to have Joe Rogan start to, provide some dissent. We've seen the same thing from Theo Vaughn. Listen, most comedians have wear their heart on their sleeve. They have a lot of empathy. They feel the audience. They communicate directly with their fans. But, it's like, maybe he's naive, but he like what he says is he thinks that Trump did not campaign on the idea that he was going to be deporting innocent people, right? All he said was violent criminals. Now, we knew that all of the violent criminals were already getting deported, right? We already knew that was happening. There's just people in this country that are here, whether it be illegally through staying past a visa, or maybe they are here illegally seeking asylum. So good on Joe, better late than never, for finally speaking out. Now, what Danielle posted, I thought was very interesting here. She said, at times, the comment sections on ICE clips feel pretty heartless, but I'd like to believe he's right. Most people would not have voted for this. We do see a lot of people post no, this is what I signed up for. And I really think some folks just have it in their DNA that they don't have empathy until there's a situation that affects them. And by that I mean maybe they are in a church community that doesn't know any illegal immigrants, so they think, and then they find out that a beloved member is getting deported, and they see how it affects their the families that are in that specific community, and then they finally feel bad, and it's like, well, where were you before? And maybe Joe Rogan is so disassociated from all of this because he's maybe off that side of the internet, maybe he's not getting it provided, but now we're seeing it right in people's faces. We're seeing them, literally the trope used to be that immigrants were lazy and didn't want to work. So then now we're taking them from Home Depots where people are just trying to get jobs, right? They're trying to do jobs that they can survive, maybe in undocumented communities, maybe migrant communities, picking, vegetables and fruit and other produce. Like these are the people we're coming after. And what's worse, we're starting to rip people's families apart. I'm out of time right now, but coming up this afternoon, I'm going to share more stories of families getting separated. Makes me sick to my stomach to know that this is going on. We are stronger, united, and we have the ability to change the direction our country is headed. Speak up, share these clips with your friends and family, keep talking, don't stand for it, and let's be on the right side of history. We'll be back this afternoon. I'll be live this morning on Patreon if you want to hang out with us, patreon.com/Dave Neal. We'll see you later. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.